The night sky above Earth had always carried mysteries, but this time it was different. Astronomers in every corner of the planet reported the same strange signs. First, unusual lights near the edge of the solar system. Then, long lines of objects, moving together in perfect formation, far larger than any asteroid or comet. Within hours, telescopes confirmed the truth. A massive fleet was entering the system, and it was not human. For centuries, people had imagined aliens, but this was no imagination. The ships were real and they were enormous. Some were the size of cities glowing with strange energy fields. Others looked like sharp blades cutting through the darkness of space. The fleet moved with discipline like a trained army that had conquered worlds before. Fear spread quickly. News channels flashed urgent alerts, social media exploded with panic, and governments went into emergency meetings. The first thought many had was simple. Earth is not ready for this. Humanity had warships, satellites, and missiles, but nothing compared to the scale of what was approaching. Still, the world did not collapse into chaos. Instead, something rare happened. Nations that once argued and competed suddenly came together. Leaders realized that no single country could face such a force. For the first time in history, the entire planet united under one banner: survival. The United Nations transformed almost overnight into the Earth Defense Council. Generals, scientists, and diplomats sat side by side, making quick decisions. They knew they had little time before the alien fleet reached orbit. On the third day of their arrival, the aliens finally spoke. Every screen, every radio, and every communication channel was hijacked by a deep, mechanical voice. The words were translated perfectly into human languages. People of Earth, you are now subjects of the Galactic Empire. Your planet is rich in resources, and your species will serve the greater order. Surrender peacefully, and some of you may live as workers for the Empire. Resist, and you will be destroyed. You have 7 days to decide. The message repeated, again and again before cutting off. Silence followed, heavier than any weapon. At first, shock froze many people. To be called subjects, to be told they would be workers for some distant empire, it was an insult as much as a threat. Fear returned, but this time it carried anger with it. Humanity had fought wars, defended freedom, and built civilizations from nothing. To bow down to invaders without a fight was unthinkable. In a secret base beneath the mountains of Switzerland, the Earth Defense Council gathered to discuss the ultimatum. Generals argued that Earth's weapons were not strong enough to face the alien fleet directly. Scientists warned that the enemy's technology was centuries ahead. Diplomats asked if negotiation was possible, but the alien message had left little room for hope. At the end of the long debate, the council's leader, an older woman named Chairwoman Elena Varga, stood. Her voice was steady, even as others trembled. Humanity has always been underestimated, she said. We may not have ships the size of cities or weapons that bend the stars, but we have something else. We have unity, creativity, and a spirit that does not break. If they think we will kneel, then they do not know us. Her words spread quickly across Earth, broadcast to billions. For the first time since the alien arrival, hope flickered in the hearts of ordinary people. They would resist. They would not go quietly into chains, but hope alone was not enough. Secret files were opened, projects long hidden were revealed. Among them was Project Iron Dawn, a defense program started decades earlier, when scientists first suspected intelligent life might exist beyond Earth. For years, engineers had worked in silence, building experimental weapons and ships powered by human ingenuity. The technology was not equal to the Empire's, but it had one advantage: unpredictability. Where the Empire relied on tradition and overwhelming, Force humans relied on creativity and surprise. As these preparations began, the alien fleet sent smaller scout ships into Earth's orbit. From the ground, people could see them, silver specks gliding silently across the night sky. Their presence was a constant reminder that time was running out. On the 6th day, the Empire sent another message. Humans, your hesitation shows weakness. In one day your answer will be demanded. Prepare yourselves for submission. Instead of breaking humanity's will, the threat hardened it. Across the planet, people volunteered to defend Earth. Soldiers readied themselves for battles they might never return from. Scientists worked day and night, fine-tuning weapons that had never been tested in real combat. Even ordinary citizens found ways to help, digging shelters, preparing supplies, and spreading messages of courage. The final night before the deadline, the Earth Defense Council made its decision. They would not surrender. They would fight. When the seventh day dawned, the Galactic Empire expected silence or fear. Instead, they received a message of defiance. It was broadcast from Earth to the entire fleet, clear and strong. This is Earth. We are not subjects. We are not slaves. If you strike us, we will resist. If you threaten us, we will rise. You may have power, but we have something greater, the will to be free. We will never kneel. The message ended, but its echo carried through every heart on Earth. Humanity had chosen its path. Far above in the command ship of the Empire, alien commanders studied the human response. To them it was almost amusing. They had crushed countless species across the galaxy. None had ever dared to refuse. Yet here was a small planet of primitives, daring to stand tall. The commander gave a cruel smile. Then we will show them the price of defiance. The order was given. Imperial warships began to move, their weapons charging with deadly energy. Earth's first great battle was about to begin. And so, the story of humanity's resistance began. Not with surrender, but with courage. The alien fleet moved with silent precision, their massive ships spreading across Earth's orbit like shadows. To the people below, they seemed like floating mountains, their sharp designs glowing with strange lights. Every telescope, every satellite captured their movements. Humanity was living under the gaze of giants. In the command centers hidden deep under mountains and oceans, the Earth Defense Council worked day and night. They had made their choice. They would resist. But courage alone was not enough. Against a fleet that had crushed countless civilizations across the galaxy, Earth needed something more, something unexpected. That something was Project Iron Dawn. Long before the Empire had ever revealed itself, a small group of visionaries had predicted that first contact might not be friendly. These scientists and strategists had quietly built weapons and systems that no one else knew about. The world had considered it a rumor, a myth whispered among soldiers and engineers. But now, as the alien fleet threatened the planet, the truth was revealed. At a secret base beneath the Sahara Desert, massive steel doors opened for the first time in decades. Inside, hangars stretched for miles, filled with machines unlike anything the world had seen. Sleek fighter craft with angular wings, stealth coatings, and experimental plasma cannons. Railguns mounted on mobile platforms, able to fire projectiles at incredible speed. Swarms of drones, each carrying explosives that could pierce armored hulls. The crown jewel, however, was a new kind of warship, the Vanguard-class destroyer. Unlike the huge alien ships, it was small, fast, and built for ambush. It carried weapons powered not by alien energy but by human creativity. It could launch electromagnetic pulses, fire rail slugs with deadly precision, and release clouds of smart drones that acted like a living storm. When the Council revealed this fleet to the world, many were shocked. Ordinary people who had thought Earth was defenseless suddenly had hope. Humanity might not have size, but it had cunning. Still, the first true test would come quickly. On the second day after Earth's defiance, the Empire sent a small strike force, 10 sleek frigates with sharp wings, glowing like blades of fire. Their mission was simple: destroy a few military bases and force humanity to surrender in fear. But humanity had other plans. The Earth Defense Council chose a team of daring pilots and soldiers to launch the first counterattack. These were not just the best-trained warriors from one nation. They came from every corner of Earth. A Japanese ace pilot who had once flown experimental jets, a Nigerian engineer who had helped design drone systems, an American commander who had studied alien signals for years, a Russian specialist in missile defense, a Brazilian soldier who had fought in the toughest terrains on Earth. They were different in culture and background, but now they stood together as one team. They called themselves the First Dawn Squadron. As the alien frigates entered Earth's upper atmosphere preparing to strike, the squadron launched from hidden hangars beneath the ocean. Their sleek fighters rose like shadows from the waves guided by satellite signals. The humans knew they could not win through sheer power. They needed to use surprise, trickery, and teamwork. The battle began above the Pacific Ocean. The alien frigates released beams of energy, tearing through clouds and boiling the sea beneath. But the human fighters did not face them directly. Instead, they spread out, weaving through the air, releasing decoy drones. The alien sensors, built to face predictable enemies, were suddenly flooded with false signals. One fighter darted close and fired a railgun slug at incredible speed. The slug punched straight through the shields of an alien frigate, ripping a hole in its side. Another fighter released a swarm of micro-drones, each exploding on the ship's hull like stinging bees. For the first time, an Empire ship burned in battle against humans. The aliens, shocked by the resistance, tried to regroup, but the humans did not give them the chance. Using the ocean's surface as cover, the squadron lured the frigates lower. Then hidden railguns on floating platforms opened fire, launching slugs that tore through the sky. One frigate fell into the sea in a massive explosion, waves rising like mountains around it. The world watched the battle live. Cameras on satellites and drones transmitted every moment. Billions of humans saw their defenders strike back, saw alien ships destroyed by courage and clever tactics. Cheers erupted across cities and villages. For the first time, fear was replaced with pride. By the end of the battle, 4 frigates were destroyed, 3 badly damaged, and the rest retreating back into orbit. Humanity had won its first clash against the Empire. It was not a total victory, but it was proof that humans could fight back. In the council chambers, scientists and generals celebrated, but they also knew the truth. The Empire had underestimated them. The next attack would be far greater. And, indeed, in the Empire's command ship, the alien commander was furious. Primitive weapons, he snarled, should not be able to harm Imperial vessels. These humans are dangerous. Their unpredictability is a threat. Reports spread through the fleet. For the first time in centuries, the Empire had faced resistance from a new species and lost ships in the process. It was a small loss compared to the Empire's vast power, but the message was clear. Earth would not fall easily. The humans did not stop there. Across the planet, new strategies were planned. Engineers worked on turning asteroids into kinetic weapons. Scientists experimented with hacking alien signals, hoping to confuse their ships. Farmers, workers, and students built supply lines to support the defense. It was not just an army fighting, it was the entire planet. Meanwhile, deep in a hidden base beneath Antarctica, the most dangerous part of Project Iron Dawn was being prepared. It was a weapon unlike anything humanity had ever built before. Its details were kept secret, even from most of the Council. But whispers spread that it could change the balance of the war completely. The alien fleet remained in orbit, silent, but watching. More ships arrived each day, reinforcements from distant stars. Humanity knew the next battle would not be against a small strike force. It would be against the full fury of the Empire. Yet despite the danger, hope was alive. The First Dawn Squadron had shown the galaxy that Earth was not prey. Humanity had teeth, and it had the will to use them. In villages and cities, people painted the symbol of the squadron on walls. Children wore badges shaped like fighter wings. Songs were written, stories told, and prayers spoken. The world that had once been divided by borders now spoke with one voice. Still, in the quiet hours of the night, leaders knew the truth. The hardest days were yet to come. The Empire would return with vengeance, and Earth would need every ounce of strength to survive. But humanity had made its choice. It would fight. And in the depths of their secret bases, the true heart of Iron Dawn pulsed with energy. waiting for the day it would be unleashed. The galaxy had noticed Earth's defiance. Whispers traveled among other alien civilizations. Some saw hope, others saw danger, but all agreed on one thing. This small blue planet had awakened, and it was not afraid. The stage was set for a war that would decide not only Earth's future, but perhaps the balance of the entire galaxy. The battle above the Pacific had shocked the galaxy. For the first time in centuries, the mighty empire had been pushed back by a world considered primitive. 4 frigates destroyed, 3 damaged, and the rest retreating in shame. Across Earth, celebrations lit up the night. For a brief moment, people believed victory might be possible. But in the command ship of the Empire, high above Earth's orbit, the alien admiral was far from impressed. To him, the skirmish had not been a defeat. It had been a lesson. The humans were unpredictable, cunning, and unwilling to kneel. They could not be underestimated again. "Send the second wave," the admiral commanded. His voice echoed through the alien vessel, deep and sharp. "No more games. Show them the power of the Empire." The order was carried out. Within days, dozens of warships arrived in the solar system. They dwarfed the frigates that had been destroyed. These ships were larger, heavily armed, and crewed by thousands. Cruisers with cannons that could split continents. Carriers that unleashed swarms of fighters like metal locusts. Battleships with energy shields brighter than stars. From Earth, the night sky changed. Points of light glowed where no stars had been before. Children looked up and asked if those lights were new constellations. Adults looked up and felt the heavy truth. The real invasion had begun. In the underground war rooms of the Earth Defense Council, tension filled the air. Generals studied holograms of the fleet. Scientists spoke in hurried tones describing the weapons they had seen. Diplomats argued about possible messages, but everyone knew the truth. The Empire had stopped pretending. Chairwoman Elena Varga addressed the council with calm determination. "The Empire believes we are weak. They want us broken. But we will not break. We must strike before they crush us." She turned to the chief scientist of Project Iron Dawn, a quiet man named Dr. Malik. His eyes were tired from endless nights of work. "Is the weapon ready?" "Not yet," he admitted. "The final stage is dangerous. If we rush, it may fail. But if we succeed, it will change everything." The council nodded grimly. They would need time. The problem was whether Earth had any left. The first true battle of the second wave began near the moon. Alien cruisers descended, their cannons glowing with fire. Their fighters swarmed ahead, moving in perfect formation. But humanity was waiting. From hidden bases beneath the moon's surface, railguns and missile platforms opened fire. Dozens of alien fighters were shredded in the first minutes. Human drones swirled through space, darting between enemy ships like wasps. But the Empire's response was swift and merciless. One alien battleship fired a single beam of energy that cut across the lunar surface. Craters collapsed. Dust rose like storms, and human installations were destroyed in an instant. On Earth, people watching the live feeds gasped in horror as their defenders were torn apart. The First Dawn Squadron fought bravely. They darted between cruisers, launching rail slugs at weak points. Twice they pierced alien shields, damaging engines. But the aliens had learned from their earlier mistake. Their formations were tighter, their scans sharper. Human fighters were hunted one by one, until only a few managed to retreat back to Earth. It was clear. Humanity could win skirmishes, but in a full-scale battle, the Empire's power was overwhelming. After the battle, silence fell in the council chamber. Reports of losses filled the screens. Entire bases on the moon were gone. Hundreds of drones destroyed. Several Vanguard destroyers lost. The survivors were heroes, but their faces were heavy with grief. It was during this moment of despair that unexpected news arrived. A damaged alien shuttle, forced to crash land on Mars after the battle, had been captured by human drones. Inside was a wounded officer of the Empire. The prisoner was brought to a secret base. Human scientists struggled to understand the alien language, but eventually, translation programs cracked parts of it. What the prisoner revealed shook the Council to its core. The Empire had no intention of simply ruling Earth. They planned to use Earth as a military factory, stripping its resources, and enslaving billions to build weapons for their galactic wars. Earth's oceans would be drained for fuel, its forests cut down for materials, its cities turned into workshops for war. Humanity would not live as citizens, but as tools. When Chairwoman Varga heard the report, her voice turned sharp. So, this is their true plan. Not conquest, but chains. Around the table, every leader's face hardened. Whatever doubt remained vanished in that moment. Negotiation was useless. Survival demanded resistance to the very end. The people of Earth heard the truth soon after. The message was broadcast across every channel. At first, silence followed. Then anger rose like a firestorm. Protest turned into rallies. Fear turned into determination. People painted words on walls. We are not slaves. Families built shelters, but also offered their homes to soldiers. Even in small villages, citizens forged weapons or prepared supplies. The First Dawn Squadron, though scarred from battle, volunteered for the next mission. Their commander, Captain Jonas Hale, stood before his team in the dim light of a hangar. They think they can chain us. They think our spirit can be broken. But we have shown them already. We fight in ways they cannot predict. We will strike at their heart. The mission he described was bold, even reckless. Attack the Empire's command ship orbiting above Earth. If they could disable or destroy its control systems, the entire fleet would falter. It would not be easy. The command ship was vast, protected by layers of shields and surrounded by escorts, but humanity had no choice. If they did not strike, Earth would be lost, piece by piece. Preparations began. Stealth ships were fitted with experimental cloaking technology. Drones were programmed for suicide runs. Rail slugs were coated with special alloys designed to pierce alien armor. Every resource was poured into the mission. Meanwhile, Dr. Malik and his team worked day and night on the final stage of Project Iron Dawn. Its details remained secret, but whispers spread that it was not just a weapon. It was something capable of changing the galaxy's balance. Some called it impossible. Others called it humanity's only hope. On the eve of the mission, Chairwoman Varga spoke to the world. Her face, tired yet strong, appeared on billions of screens. We stand at a turning point, she said. The Empire believes we are already defeated, but we have shown them our courage. Tomorrow we strike not for one nation, not for one people, but for all of humanity. Whatever comes, know this: Earth will never kneel. Her words ignited the planet. From the tallest skyscrapers to the smallest villages, people stood together. They were no longer citizens of divided nations, they were citizens of Earth. The next morning, the First Dawn Squadron launched. Their ships slipped into the darkness of space, guided by silence and determination. Behind them, all of humanity watched and prayed. The Empire's command ship loomed ahead, larger than mountains, glowing with endless power. Around it, escorts swarmed like predators. But the humans pressed forward. Their plan simple: strike hard, strike fast, and never give up. The galaxy held its breath. The battle that followed would decide not only the fate of Earth, but the future of every world that lived under the shadow of the Empire. The solar system had become a battlefield. Alien warships moved like predators, vast cruisers and fighters circling every planet, scanning for signs of resistance. Humanity had endured the first strikes, and now the full weight of the Galactic Empire was about to fall upon them. In the underground war rooms beneath the Rocky Mountains, the Earth Defense Council worked tirelessly. Maps of space, holograms of enemy ships, and streams of incoming intelligence filled every screen. Every commander knew the cost of failure: extinction. Chairwoman Elena Varga stood before the council, her face illuminated by the pale glow of holographic projections. She did not speak of fear. She spoke of resolve. The Empire believes we are weak, she said. They think a threat of destruction will make us bow. They are wrong. We have survived their first waves, and we have learned their tactics. Now it is our turn to make them hesitate. Our message must be clear." Her words were not empty. Humanity had a plan, not just to fight, but to warn. Across the planet, engineers and scientists finalized the most dangerous project in human history, Project Iron Dawn. At its core was a weapon unlike any other, capable of manipulating enormous energy flows in space. Its scale was unimaginable, enough to destroy ships, fleets, and even celestial bodies. It was not a tool of conquest, but a shield, the ultimate deterrent. Dr. Malik, the lead scientist, worked feverishly alongside hundreds of engineers and technicians. "If this works," he said to his assistant, "it will show the Empire that humans are not to be underestimated. If it fails, then we may not have a tomorrow." Every calculation was double-checked, every prototype tested. Even the ships themselves were modified to carry the energy device safely into orbit. It was humanity's last chance to survive without giving in. Meanwhile, in orbit above Earth, alien scouts reported unusual activity. Smaller human ships moved stealthily, weaving through asteroid belts, and cloaked vessels disappeared from sensors, only to reappear unexpectedly. The Empire's commanders were growing frustrated. The humans were clever, unpredictable, and resilient. Exactly what their scouts had warned might happen. The Empire's commander finally broadcast a warning across all channels. "People of Earth, your time is over. Surrender now, and we may spare a few of your species. Resist, and your planet will be destroyed." It was the same threat as before, but now humanity's answer would be different. The Earth Defense Council gathered for the first broadcast to the Empire. The signal was transmitted not as a plea, but as a declaration. Chairwoman Varga's voice, steady and unwavering, reached every ship in orbit. "To the Galactic Empire, Earth does not kneel. You may have power, but we have determination, creativity, and the will to survive. If you attack us, humanity will respond. We have the means to strike back with force unlike anything you have faced. Withdraw now, or face the consequences." The message was simple. The tone was clear. Humanity was not afraid. The Empire laughed at first. "Empty threats," the commander said. "They cannot possibly match our fleet." Yet even as he dismissed it, doubt flickered among his officers. Something in the broadcast, calm, measured, confident, was different from any species they had encountered before. These humans were not begging. They were warning. Meanwhile, on the surface of Earth, citizens listened to the broadcast on radios, televisions, and digital devices. People cheered, cried, and held hands with family and friends. This was not just a military announcement. It was a symbol of unity. Humanity had a voice, and it would not be silenced. In secret hangars, the First Dawn Squadron prepared their most dangerous mission yet, a direct strike at the Empire's command ship. Every ship was loaded with specialized equipment, cloaked as much as technology allowed, and guided by humans who had memorized every possible route and weakness. Captain Jonas Hale, standing at the forefront of his squadron, addressed his pilots. "We are about to enter the enemy's heart. They think they can intimidate us. They think they can destroy us. They are wrong. We fight not for glory, not for conquest, but for every child, every family, every person on this planet. Stay sharp. Trust your training. Trust each other. And never give up." The mission began at dusk. The stealth ships slipped silently into space, moving past asteroid fields and through the debris left from earlier battles. Alien sensors were searching for activity, but the humans were careful, precise, and relentless. The First Dawn Squadron navigated past fleets avoiding patrols until the massive command ship loomed ahead. It was larger than any structure humanity had ever seen, glowing with an energy that seemed alive. Thousands of smaller ships swarmed around it like guardians. The humans waited, watching patterns, predicting movements. And then, at the perfect moment, they struck. A small strike team fired rail slugs designed to pierce shields. Drones weaved through defensive turrets, detonating precisely against exposed hulls. Energy pulses from hidden human ships created temporary interference, making alien sensors useless. In one daring maneuver, a single pilot flew directly into the command ship's observation array, blinding its view of incoming attacks. The aliens scrambled, their calm precision shattered by human unpredictability. For hours, the battle raged in orbit, ships exploding, shields faltering, and humans refusing to retreat. From Earth, the broadcast continued. "This is humanity speaking. You have been warned. We do not seek war, but we will not surrender. Withdraw from our system, or suffer the consequences." The Empire's response was silent at first, then aggressive. Energy beams fired toward Earth itself. Cities trembled under minor blasts, and panic threatened to return. But humans had planned for this. Hidden energy shields and diversion systems protected major population centers. While the battle raged above, life continued below, not as normal, but as resilient as ever. In a hidden chamber, Dr. Malik activated the final phase of Project Iron Dawn. The energy weapon hummed, gathering force unlike anything the human race had ever seen. Monitors showed distant ships in orbit, unaware of the silent threat growing among them. The weapon was a statement, a demonstration of what humanity could do if pushed beyond its limits. Every pilot, every engineer, every soldier knew the risk. Activating such a weapon could be dangerous, but humanity had no other choice. If the Empire continued, they would show that the cost of attacking Earth was greater than anyone could imagine. As the first Dawn Squadron fought with relentless courage, the Empire's officers began to notice the weapon charging. Panic spread through the command ship. What had been a predictable, easy conquest now seemed uncertain. No species had ever defied the Empire so boldly and so cleverly. The squadron, knowing the weapon was ready, withdrew carefully to give humanity's leaders the chance to make the final move. The Empire watched, confused and wary. For the first time, they hesitated. On Earth, Chairwoman Varga addressed the galaxy one final time during the standoff. "We are not your subjects. We are not your slaves. You have been warned. Humanity will fight, and humanity will survive. The solar system is not yours to take by force. Withdraw or face the consequences." The message carried strength, clarity, and truth. It was no bluff, it was a promise. For the first time in centuries, the Empire hesitated. The humans had done something unexpected. They had delivered a deadly ultimatum. They had shown courage, intelligence, and a willingness to act without fear. The command crew debated, their arrogance shaken. Could these small creatures truly pose a threat to the Empire? The galaxy had paused, waiting for the answer. The stage was set. Humanity had drawn a line, and the Empire would have to decide whether to cross it. Above Earth, the warships loomed, glowing with deadly energy. But in every city, every village, and every hidden base, humans prepared for what was to come. They had made their choice. They would not bow. They would not surrender. And for the first time, the galaxy began to understand something new. Earth was not weak. Humanity was strong. Humanity was clever. Humanity would fight back. The solar system was tense with anticipation. The Empire's massive fleet had remained in orbit for days, unsure how to respond to humanity's deadly ultimatum. Their command ship, scarred from the previous attacks, hovered like a giant predator, watching a cornered prey. But for once, the humans were not afraid. On Earth, citizens waited anxiously. Families huddled together, listening to updates from the first Dawn Squadron, while scientists monitored Project Iron Dawn's energy levels. Humanity's secret weapon was fully charged, its massive energy coils glowing with a strange, almost alive light. Chairwoman Elena Varga addressed the world one last time before the decisive strike. Her voice, calm and resolute, echoed in millions of homes, public squares, and hidden shelters. "We have fought with courage, with intelligence, and with unity," she said. "Today, humanity will show the galaxy that we will never kneel. The choice is clear. We fight for our freedom, our homes, and our future. Stand proud, stand strong, stand united. Every human felt the weight of the moment. They knew the Empire had immense power, but they also knew something greater: human ingenuity, courage, and the will to survive. In orbit, the first Dawn Squadron prepared for their final mission. Their target was the Empire's command ship, the core of the fleet. Every pilot knew the risks. The ship was enormous, armed with weapons capable of annihilating entire planets. Yet the humans had learned the aliens' weaknesses. Their unpredictability was humanity's greatest weapon. Captain Jonas Hale addressed his pilots before launch. "This is more than a mission," he said. "It is the proof that we will never bow. Every move we make is for Earth, for our families, and for our future. Trust your training, trust each other, and remember, humanity never gives up." With a roar of engines and a surge of energy shields, the squadron launched. Cloaked vessels weaved through asteroid belts and debris, unseen by the alien sensors. They darted past escort ships, their railguns ready, their drones poised for attack. The Empire watched, confused and wary. Their scanners could not detect all human movements. Every fleet maneuver they predicted was met with a counter they had not anticipated. Beams of energy fired at empty space. Drones exploded in decoy patterns. Rail slugs tore through shields before the aliens could respond. For the first time, the Empire realized the humans were not just surviving. They were dominating the battlefield through clever tactics and precise planning. Meanwhile, deep in the hidden base beneath Antarctica, Dr. Malik and his team prepared to activate Project Iron Dawn. Energy readings soared, power channels hummed, and the weapon reached its full potential. One final calculation confirmed the timing. Humanity was ready. "Now," Dr. Malik whispered. The weapon fired. A massive pulse of energy rippled through space. It was not destructive in the sense of a normal weapon. It was precise, controlled, and terrifyingly efficient. One of Jupiter's moons was transformed into a controlled energy mass, its orbit collapsing in on itself. The energy released was focused, aimed directly at the Empire's command ship. The effect was immediate. Shields flickered and failed, systems overloaded. Alien officers struggled to maintain control, but the power of Project Iron Dawn was beyond their comprehension. The command ship shuddered, sparks flying across its hull, before a massive explosion rocked its surface. The fleet around it staggered. Without command, coordination failed. Cruiser formations broke apart. Fighters collided with each other in confusion. Energy beams misfired, creating gaps that the first Dawn Squadron exploited. In hours, the tide of the battle shifted entirely. Humanity, small but clever, had turned the battlefield. The Empire's fleet, once a symbol of unstoppable power, now faltered against the ingenuity and determination of humans. Back on Earth, celebrations were muted, but profound. Screens showed the collapse of alien ships, the retreat of the remaining fleet, and the courage of the first Dawn Squadron. People hugged, cried, and shouted with joy. The planet had survived the impossible. Chairwoman Varga addressed the people once more. "Today, humanity has shown the galaxy our strength. We have fought not because we seek war, but because we cherish life, freedom, and dignity. Remember this: we will never kneel, and we will never be silenced." Her words were carried across the stars, reaching the ears of other civilizations watching the battle. Many whispered of Earth, of humans who dared to defy the greatest empire in the galaxy. Some offered cautious respect. Others wondered what this small planet might do next. The Yao Empire survivors regrouped, battered and humbled. Their arrogance had been shattered. Retreat was the only option. They withdrew beyond the solar system, their losses staggering. For the first time in history, the Empire had faced a species that could outthink, outmaneuver, and outlast them. Captain Jonas Hale and the first Dawn Squadron returned to Earth as heroes. Pilots were embraced by citizens, soldiers were honored for bravery, and scientists celebrated the success of Project Iron Dawn. The people of Earth had fought not just with weapons but with unity and spirit. Even in the quiet aftermath, humanity reflected on what they had accomplished. They had defended their planet, preserved their freedom, and sent a message across the stars. Earth was not a world to be conquered. Months later, the solar system recovered from the battles. Cities were rebuilt, installations repaired, and defenses strengthened. Humans continued to advance Project Iron Dawn, not as a weapon of aggression, but as a safeguard for the future. Alien civilizations now approached Earth with caution. The galaxy had learned a valuable lesson. Humans were not weak, not easily conquered, and not to be underestimated. Chairwoman Varga looked up at the night sky one evening. Stars glimmered, silent witnesses to the struggle that had taken place. Humanity had survived, and in doing so had grown stronger, wiser, and united. From small beginnings to global cooperation, from fear to courage, humanity had proven a timeless truth. The strength of a species lies not only in its technology, but in its heart, its will, and its determination to never surrender. The galaxy had changed forever. Earth was no longer just a small blue planet. It was a symbol of hope, resilience, and the unstoppable spirit of humanity. And for the first time, humans knew their place among the stars. Not as subjects, not as tools, but as equals capable of shaping their own destiny.